stopped and thought about how the wine glass choices you make impact the flavor and the aromatics and the general enjoyment of the wine that you drink? Probably not. I think we've all been in the situation where we've walked into a home store and seen glasses that were so beautiful or cute or just fit our mood that we bought them without a lot of consideration to the impact it actually had on the enjoyment of wine. So today we're going to talk about getting a little more serious about your stemware choices, how wine glasses really do impact the enjoyment of a glass of wine, because after all, that is why we are here. Wine drinking is all about an enjoyment, so let's make it the best experience we possibly can. So here I've got an assortment of 3 different glasses that I keep at my house. Now, keep in mind that I'm a professional winemaker, so this is a really big emphasis for me, but this is definitely more than I would suggest you have in your house, unless you happen to just want to go crazy and have a ton of storage space, which probably isn't the case, because who does? But let's talk about the 2 major things that impact wine and why you choose the kind of stemware that you do. The first is aromatics. This is a big thing. We all know that the way that wine smells actually impacts the way that it tastes to us. So what you want to look for always, this is an absolute, is a wine glass that has this kind of tulip shape. Now these come in a couple of different varieties, and that's okay, but what you're really looking for is this vessel that can contain aromatics and deliver them to you in a way that really highlights the character of the wine. The second thing that we want to be concerned about is delivery. Now, that seems like a totally funny thing to think about, and the first time I heard that, I was like, ooh, what does that even mean? But it's a term you'll hear again, and it all comes down to how, when you drink a glass of wine, it's delivered onto your tongue, the impact that it has when it hits your taste buds. So those are the 2 things that you want to be concerned about. Now, if you've ever looked at companies like Riedel, they make a gazillion different types of glasses. Glasses for drinking Chardonnay that's oaked, unoaked Chardonnay, glasses for Pinot Noir, glasses for Syrah, glasses for Bordeaux. It goes on and on and on like that. And you could go down that crazy path of having all that stemware if you wanted to. And the truth of it is, if you drink those varieties out of those glasses, there probably is something to it. It will accentuate the wine and make it taste better. But that's a huge investment and a very specific thing to get the most impact out of every single varietal that you choose to drink. And I would never go down that path personally. So what I have at my home, I mostly drink and make Bordeaux and Rhone varietals, and I drink a lot of white wine because I'm a white wine maker. So the recommendation that I have for kind of the best all-around glass that suits my desires and that I would recommend to you is something like the Riedel Magnum. This is a Bordeaux style glass. I love it because I love the shape. I love the way that it feels in my hand. I love that the stem is large enough that my hand doesn't make contact with the wine, so I'm not heating the wine in my hand, but that it's not so tall that it makes the glass unstable. The other thing that I love about all fine glassware, something that is a deal breaker for me, is how thick the rim is. I always look for a glass that has a very, very thin rim. I hate stemware, and you should too, that has a chunky, thick rim. Now, I know that makes a glass durable. They're oftentimes the kinds of stemware that you see in all kinds of shapes, particularly popular with stemless glasses, but you can find thin-rimmed glasses, and you should, because once again, we talked about it's all about that delivery and how the wine feels when it goes into your mouth. So a thin rim will help with delivery, and frankly, it's just a lot more enjoyable experience. So trust me on that. Thin rim is paramount. So this is the glass that I would purchase for my home and that I've been using in my home for the last 15 years. I like it because it can adequately contain the aromatics and acidity of a white wine. And it also crosses over really nicely to the majority of red wines that I drink. So this is the first glass that I put in my house.
So the second recommendation I have here is a stemless glass. The one thing to consider here, which I touched on just a little bit earlier, is how your hand will be coming in contact with the wine in this glass. That's the downside if you're tasting critically. But at home, I think this is a wonderful glass for out on your patio, for sitting down and having a glass of wine and reading a book at night. I love how a stemless glass feels in my hand, so I don't take into consideration when I'm having a glass of wine just for my own enjoyment at home, how the temperature of my body will impact the temperature of the wine. It's just not something I get super worried about because I'm not tasting these wines critically. Now, what I've done at home is I've got this glass that I've recommended here for the last 4 minutes or so, and then I recently acquired a set of Riedel Pinot Noir glasses that are stemless because I do like to have a stemless glass. And I started out making and working in the Willamette Valley with Pinot Noir, so Pinot is really near and dear to my heart. And so when I was adding a second glass, I thought, well, I'm gonna get something that I can use to accentuate that one varietal just a little bit more. And what you find with this glass is it's a little bit larger, broader bowl here, and that helps with Pinot Noir. It's a softer wine with less tannin. So I don't need a glass that is working to dissipate or change the structure of tannin like this one would. And so I choose a glass for Pinot that's a little bit better for wines that are soft. Between the two, you could go either way. It all comes down to whether or not you enjoy a stemless glass or a glass with a stem. It really doesn't matter. But when you're choosing a wine glass, critically important that you're choosing something that has a really thin rim. That is an absolute deal breaker. Please do not buy stemware that has a chunky rim. It just isn't going to deliver wine to you in a way that is enjoyable and appealing. This is the way to go. It's such a luxury to drink out of really nice stemware. So give yourself that opportunity. The only other glass that I have in my house is a champagne flute. This isn't something that I would recommend unless you drink a lot of bubbly, but if you do, it's really nice. This narrower stem helps preserve the bubbles. It keeps them sparkling a lot longer, and it has a very thin rim, which is great for the delivery of sparkling wines. So if you're thinking about that and you don't have that yet, same rules apply. Tulip-shaped, thin rim, great sparkling glass. So that's the characteristics that they have. So I've got a recommendation sheet below for you for some of the different wine glasses that you could choose to purchase to make it super easy so you don't have to go out and do a bunch of research and break down the things that I've said to figure out what to put in your home.